Well, it's been 2 years since unprecedented unrest broke out in KwaZulu-Natal. Apart from claiming lives, the looting that followed put the existence of some businesses in doubt. Economist Professor Bonke Dumisa joins us via Zoom from Durban to chat about the ongoing efforts to recover from the 2021 upheaval. Good morning to you, Professor. Thank you very much for joining us here on the South African Morning. It's been 2 years since the July 2021 unrest. Let's just go back to that time and talk about the impact that the unrest had on our economy. We saw countless jobs lost and millions of rands lost as well. Just take us back and talk about the impact that had onto the South African economy.
Okay, good morning to you and your ENCA viewers wherever they are in the world. The impact has been very negative. We have a situation where SASRA last week mentioned in Parliament that they've paid out over 32 billion, not million, over 32 billion rands in claims which arise from that particular incident. And we know that we lost over 350 or 360 lives during that period. We know that many vendors, the people who sell food and vegetables on the road, lost their livelihood during that whole period because most of those businesses were closed permanently or were closed for a long time before they were opened again. So, and we had one of the analysts saying that KwaZulu-Natal is becoming an economic desert, no investments. I disagree with him, but where I agree with him is that day changed the very positive outlook about KwaZulu-Natal when it comes to investments. And we had to start from scratch. And I am not so sure if ever there's still a willingness to address the real causes, because yes, some of the people who looted have been prosecuted, and one of them actually sentenced. But the real people who were behind that thing have not been touched at all. So which means we can see this thing flaring up again in the future if ever we really don't get our ducks in the so we don't get our plans in motion to make sure that this thing never happens again, especially because it could have been prevented. But now let us move forward.
But Professor, what measures then needs to be implemented by government and various stakeholders to ensure that there isn't a reoccurrence? What needs to be done?
Government talks to the business sector at all times. I mean, I know I've been a CEO of one of the major chambers of commerce in South Africa. And that's where they brief, even on some of the things which are very sensitive, they brief business on what may happen and what can be done in order to avoid such things. We hear there were no such discussions because, unfortunately, some of the people who were involved in planning for that day were people who are right inside the government circles and right inside the political circles. So we do need to have an oversight on who gets involved and how much patriotism do they have in making sure that such things do not happen in South Africa. Because what happened was that thing did not hurt anyone maybe who they thought they were going to hurt. It actually hurt the South African economy and took unnecessary lives. So we need to make sure that there's NEDLEC, which is the National Government and Economic Labor Council, which deals with these things, where they can discuss these things and make sure that the word goes around that we must avoid such things. I mean, recently on Sharpeville Day, when some people planned some other things, there were proper plans to make sure that people can protest, but no mayhem was going to be caused. And that happened. There was no mayhem. So
but Professor, during that time, we saw a lot of people looting and taking necessities, things like food, things like basic necessities that they need from day to day. And nothing can make what was done right. But South Africa is one of the most unequal countries in the world. I saw a stat that said that 1 in 5 people in this country live on less than 28 rand per day. South Africans are struggling to survive, and the triple challenge needs to be addressed. Issues of unemployment, inequality and poverty need to be addressed. How do we move forward?
Yes, I'm happy you're saying that those things are happening, but that was not the right way to address them, because
definitely
who were the major victims of all the thing? When the stores were closed, people of KwaMashu and Inanda had to move to far away places where they spent a lot of money in order to buy things which they could buy from Bridge City and other places before. So that was definitely not, it was just a pretext. It was not about the poor people. Yes, poverty, inequality in South Africa has got to be addressed. But you cannot address it through making the people who are poor the excuses for creating mayhem in the country. It is the poor people who lost their loved ones. It is the poor people who lost their jobs. It is the poor vendors who lost their opportunity for selling goods. So this was just that's why President Ramaphosa said that was a failed insurrection. So let us learn from that thing, that people must not make use of the frustration of the people to achieve their political goals. That was just purely a political thing. It was not a socio-economical issue.
Professor, we have to leave it there this morning, but we do appreciate your insights and your time. And as you mentioned, I hope that it is a lesson learned. That was Economist Bonke Dumisa, Professor Bonke Dumisa, on attempts to recover from the July 2021 unrest. We will